Welcome to the Greenleaf podcast. This is our deal by deal show. Today I've got Dave Codrea, myself, Andrew Ziffer, and we have Alex Ward joining us, who is the Barrow County Commissioner. So thank you for being here today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So Barrow County, familiar with the Atlanta area, it's just east of Atlanta, and then it goes all the way out to almost Athens, Georgia. All right. So it's a fairly large piece of land in between Atlanta and Athens.
So we're one of the smallest counties, but because the way we're shaped, we're stretched out, we're kind of a rectangle. So it fills a lot of that gap between Gwinnett and Athens.
And you're not rural, is that correct?
We
debated this, yes. So are you rural?
So when I first moved there, we were classified as a rural county. We are now, I would not say we are suburban, but when we opened up a standalone Starbucks about 3 years ago, I said that we crossed over to exurb. So just outside of suburban, but not quite rural anymore because that's standalone Starbucks.
And is the Starbucks going to stay in business? Is it busy? It
is busy. It's
okay.
It's also right next to the only Chick-fil-A that is in Barrow County. So the two of them keep each other busy.
You got a Chick-fil-A. If you've got a Chick-fil-A and a Starbucks, you've landed.
We're set.
Yeah, you're set.
Well, when you're driving from Atlanta and you're going out to Athens, I mean, there's development all along the way, the whole way out there.
Absolutely. It's one of the fastest growing counties in Georgia. You've got a lot of folks that are just ready to move out from Metro Atlanta. And so you move to the next spot where space is available, and that happens to be Barrow County.
Yeah. And on the Greenleaf side, I mean, we've owned real estate deals, other apartment communities or mobile home communities in Barrow County for almost like 10 years. So we've got a bunch of deals that we've done in the outside. It's always been a great place to do business. So we're excited you're joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So county commissioner, it's not full-time, but it is full-time. How do you draw that line, and how do you make that work?
Sometimes it feels like it's full-time. So technically we're a part-time county commission. We have 2 regularly scheduled meetings per month, but I spend a lot more time trying to review through stuff, trying to reach out to constituents, listen to where constituents are. I'm on all of the social media pages for the community. There's a bunch of rants and raves pages for Barrow County, and I try to be in all of them. And when people have concerns about what's going on, I try to proactively reach out to them and say, hey, here's why this is happening, or here's what this project is here. So that way I can try to get ahead of some of the issues that they might have.
You just said something that caught my attention there. You're paying attention to social media. Would you say all Barrow County commissioners are paying attention to social media, or is that unique to what you're doing right now?
I think that that's probably a product of the generation that I'm in. I'm the youngest county commissioner in Barrow County, and when I was elected, I was one of the youngest in the state.
Wow.
I think that's probably plays into that a little bit.
We had the mayor of Stonecrest, and she was in her, was it 30s or? Yeah, we had one.
She was one of the youngest mayors.
One of the youngest mayors in the state, and that was pretty fascinating. She was a badass, but that's another story.
So, I mean, not only side on the being on the commission, you're practicing attorney full time.
Yeah. So my full time day job is lawyer. That's what helps to pay the bills. I've joked before that I probably need to spend a little bit more time doing some law stuff, and less time commission stuff. I don't know if they allow county commissioners to live in cardboard boxes behind the high school. But yeah, so full time, I'm an attorney.
You got to make a living somehow.
Yes.
And so why county commissioner? What in the world possessed you one day to say, hey, I'm going to run for elected office and run for a county commission seat? What possessed you?
I mean, it's a competitive process. It's not, you don't just sign up, right? I mean, there's the whole election process.
I hit my head one day. I woke up a little crazy.
Drinking the night before you
fly over. So I've always had an interest in politics. That's just always been my passion. When I started seeing all the rezone signs come up right around me, I started going to some of the commission meetings and speaking out about some concerns, started meeting with developers on those concerns, and started understanding that, a lot of what we do especially when it comes to rezones, is it's very difficult to just say no more development, because there are private property rights considerations. And so I started learning that we can find ways to make things better. And I wanted to be a voice that helps understand what's coming in, what are the concerns of folks that are saying, we don't want this, and how can we balance those interests.
Is some of it like the NIMBYs not in my neighborhood, or
There's a lot of folks who they'll say no to this rezone. I moved here from Gwinnett County to get away from this. So it's like, okay, you moved to Gwinnett from Gwinnett County, but now you want to close the door behind you. And unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. The other, again, big issue for me is the people that are selling the land, they have private property rights as well. And they're entitled to try to get the best value for their dollar that they can.
Yeah, well, I think you pointed this out one day that when people say no growth, don't want to do anything, that's the way to do it, but it always doesn't work very well over the long term because when you have stagnant growth, things don't happen. Your water system doesn't get fixed, your sewer system doesn't get improved, and growth ultimately drives what's going on inside your county infrastructure. First of all,
so it's for me, it's about balance, and in fact, our most recent comprehensive plan, I think, really struck that when it was referred to as Barrow in balance. And how do we find those?
It's a good name for it. Right? Yeah. How do you do things efficiently? I mean, one of the neat things too about seeing areas that are developing, it's like a lot of stuff has happened in the past. You can. There's a lot of case studies and lessons on how to do all this stuff that you can use.
Absolutely.
Right? So one thing we were talking about is interesting on. You mentioned the quarry that we're going to try and turn into a reservoir and water source.
So,
but you have a bunch of different water systems in the county.
Barrow County is interesting in that we do have so many different water utility providers. So Barrow County is a utility provider, but so is the city of Winder, city of Auburn, city of Statham, and the town of Brazelton. And so each of them has their own water utility system, their own water sources, and Auburn and Winder have actually partnered together to increase their water supply and are converting a used rock quarry into I think a billion gallon reservoir. So that's going to become their primary reservoir.
So what do? Do you just take a hose and just turn it on and just let it fill up?
Something like that.
Okay. All right. Got it.
Basically had to do like a lot of cleaning out of the quarry, and then they've also are having to obviously build the water treatment facility as well, and then eventually there's like a spring right there, and it'll eventually feed into it and fill it up.
Oh, so it'll be a natural fed water source,
right?
Is that a private?
No, that's
deal, or is that a county? Like, how's that?
The quarry was private, but the actual project, the water reservoir, is a joint two cities that have partnered together on that.
That's an interesting one. So who will own the quarry after this water project?
The Auburn and Winder jointly. They've got a
so they bought the quarry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they bought that section, and it's a joint intergovernmental agreement.
Does the county have any sign off on that, or is that?
We have no involvement in that. It is.
Is it in the city limits?
Reservoirs in the city limits of Auburn.
Yeah. No zoning, no
not
approvals,
not from the county. So one of the things that a lot of folks don't realize is that when it comes to rezoning, a lot of it depends on where you're located. So if you're in the city limits of one of the 6 towns or cities that we have in Barrow County, the county has no say over that rezone. We can suggest that we don't think that that's going to be compatible with some of the things that we have planned on the county side, but we have no control over it. Also, generally speaking, government entities are usually exempt from zoning laws. So,
but then
that's a big caveat.
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking about the Georgia Department of Natural Resources.
Now they are involved. I do believe that they're involved with the project because it is a city project.
Right.
I'm not as familiar with what they're doing.
All right.
With it, but I do believe that there's some GNR coordination and things like that, because that gets to the state level.
Yeah, I remember there was we had a fun issue within the city of Chamblee where somebody decided to open up a vape store across the street from a high school, which was very fun, but the city couldn't do anything about it because it was legal. But there was a state regulatory agency, and I think it was the Department of Agriculture or the Georgia Department of Agriculture, who might have said, "Okay, I'm sorry, you can't
overseas vaping."
Well, tobacco,
yeah.
So and they actually said you couldn't open up. So that was an interesting one.
And we have in our zoning laws local to Barrow County, we have some ordinances that you can't have establishments that serve alcohol within a certain distance of a school property.
Oh, right. And that's the standard one. But evidently, according to, this city's ordinances, you could have a vape shop, but no alcohol. So just they're fixing that right now because they kind of learned their lesson. But this is also interesting when you kind of alluded to this before, but you have multiple cities and multiple mayors and multiple city councils in your, I looked it up because I have data and I like data.
I mean, you have the internet.
I have the internet and I have ChatGPT. So your biggest county, this is going to be a test. What's your biggest county?
The biggest city. I think only one county.
Biggest city.
Our biggest city is Winder.
Yep. 20,000 over 20,000 population. Brazelton is your next one.
Brazelton. And Brazelton's interesting. We'll come back to Brazelton. Then we've got Auburn. Then after that would be Statham, then Bethlehem, and then the tiny town of Carl.
You did them all in correct order too. You know your cities.
Carl's down at 295. That's what Andrew wants to talk about.
So let's talk about
small
Carl.
Towns.
Carl. So
Carl's fascinating to me.
Carl's very, very interesting. Carl,
239
people.
Yeah, 239 population.
They are fully within my commission district.
And a mayor and a 5-member town council.
Andrew, you could move out there and be mayor.
So actually, I think there are 4 members now. So
4 members, okay.
Five total with the mayor, 4 council members. They've got municipal elections coming up in November. 2 of the council members, actually, both of them qualified without opposition. And then the mayor just recently resigned, so they have a open mayoral race, and there's 2 people that have qualified for that race.
Andrew, you got to get out there.
So how much does this mayor make? Like what? $600-700 a year, or is it volunteer?
I think the mayor, at least the last mayor, he was making close to $15,000.
Almost a real city council, because city council usually $15,000 to $20,000 a year, and then commissioners make a little bit more, but
depending on what county you're in, that varies widely.
Yeah, well, DeKalb County is like in the 60s or 70s.
Well, the commissioners are sometimes full time. If you're in a really big county, full time, but a lot of time.
So most commissioners themselves are part time, even in the larger counties. The chairman in some of the counties is full time. It depends on the structure. Barrow County, we have a county manager form of government, so we converted to that in 2012, and the county manager, 2012, the county manager runs day-to-day operations, and the chairman is also a part-time elected position.
And does your county manager have one boss, the mayor, or does it have 7 bosses or 6 bosses or whoever?
The county manager serves at the pleasure of the entire board of commissioners.
Okay, so he's got a lot of bosses.
He's got 7 bosses.
7 bosses.
But it takes 4 of us to terminate him. So technically, he's only got to keep 4 of us happy, but we have a fantastic county manager who is a absolute professional, and he does a fantastic job of keeping us all happy in our own separate ways. Yeah.
So he knows how to make it work.
He does. Okay. He really does.
I'm always curious, how do you do both things at one time?
Yeah, and do you do it effectively? Do you have to, one day?
No one's going to be like, hey, I'm not effective at any of these, but it's like you got to be as effective as possible.
Yeah, so
doing 2 things.
So one of the things I do, I work for myself, which helps. So I can do a lot of stuff at night, but technology is my friend. Technology is my friend as a commissioner because it allows us to expand capacity without adding significant human resources, which labor is one of your most expensive assets. But I'm also able to do that on my law side as well. It's just me. I don't have a secretary or an assistant or a paralegal or anything like that. So a lot of my law stuff I do, I'll use AI to help with some initial drafts. So I'll provide prompts of here's the type of letter that I need to draft. Here's the things that I want to include, provide the rough draft. And then I'll go through and add in additional case law, add in my own additional thoughts. But that helps to speed the process up for me.
You've been able to do that, and you think that's more efficient than basically adding people and overhead? Like you can accomplish the same stuff faster?
I can accomplish the same amount in the same amount of time for significantly less money.
And you also have, I I just call them fancy lawyer tools, but I'm assuming there's AI tools that actually are specifically for attorneys and they actually, for the industry.
There are some that a number of the big providers like Westlaw and Lexis and VLEX are now providing AI tools within their research portfolios to help with lawyers doing case law research and in fact pattern research. A number of attorneys actually try to use things like ChatGPT do case research.
Vanilla ChatGPT, not ChatGPT on top of something else.
Yeah, maybe ChatGPT plus, but not a specific legal AI.
Right.
And they were actually getting cases that didn't exist. So ChatGPT would say, this is the law, and this was from Smith versus Brown, 215 Georgia 373, and neither the case name existed nor that case citation existed. And there was a number of attorneys who actually got sanctioned for it. So I think a lot of the groups like Westlaw and Lexis saw a opportunity to add on to what they were selling to attorneys.
Well, I mean, for anything, I think about all the tools that could be, AI could be used effectively for, as long as it's accurate. I mean,
yes.
To me, attorneys are word mathematicians. You have to figure out what it means, how to argue the argument in a very logical, and there can be nothing vague about it. It has to be specific and measurable.
Absolutely. And wordsmithing is a big part of what lawyers do. And so, when you have cases, especially if you're doing briefs for the court, you get cases that don't support your position, but you can't just ignore them. So you have to find ways to wordsmith that, well, this case does exist, but here's why it's a little bit different, or here's why
the nuance,
and I have found that AI tools have helped with some of that wordsmithing. That, okay, well, here's what I'm trying to say, and here's what I've drafted. Clean this up a little bit, and it'll do a little bit more of a fine-tuning wordsmithing for me.
So what do you have to say to all the new attorney graduates from law school right now in AI and their relationship to an AI tool?
It is going to be significantly more difficult because especially with your bigger law firms, AI is going to be taking the place of your entry-level associate attorneys that are doing most of the research work.
Gotcha. And you've been on your own for a while. Were you an entry-level attorney in any of these big beer firms?
I refused to work in big law.
Okay.
Before I graduated from law school, I was working for a sole practitioner. After I passed the bar exam, we were a two-man firm for about 6 months. And then I went and worked in-house counsel, as general counsel for a 50-employee company that had 2 locations, one here in Georgia, one in Texas. And then when COVID hit, I ended up running into an attorney at an event, and she was looking for outside counsel for help with a company that sold COVID test kits, and they need a lot of contract drafting help. And my company had downsized my position. And so it worked out that I was able to convert them to a client, started doing stuff for this other client. And
your first customer. Yeah,
absolutely.
Good job.
So when did you become county commissioner? When did that election happen?
So I got elected in a special election, actually exactly 3.5 years ago yesterday. March 15th, 2022 was the special election. My county commissioner passed away December. I found out that he wasn't going to run for re-election. I was interested. I talked to some folks and found out he wasn't going to run, but he hadn't announced that he wasn't running yet. And so I was waiting for him to do that before I jumped in, and then he passed away. And so I reached out to some folks that I know who grew up in Barrow County, who I'm really close to, and said, is there going to be a special election? And they said, yes. Are you interested? I said, I am. So I met with some folks, and they said, here's everybody you need to start talking to, and gave me a whole bunch of phone numbers. And we have a number of folks in Barrow County that are born and bred in Barrow County, that had several generations of family members that went to Winder Barrow High School and graduated.
Yeah, and this is the one high school actually, how many high schools do you have in the county?
We have 4 now, if you include Bethlehem Christian.
And football in all the high schools, I'm assuming, is a big deal.
So BASA is Barrow Arts and Science Academy is a choice school, and it does not have football. It does have some sports.
How do you not have football at a high school?
Originally,
We have the STEM school, so they don't have high school.
Yeah, so
they don't have football. They have high school. They don't have.
So originally, the concept for BASA was they were not going to have athletics at all.
Gotcha.
And then I would venture to say that they're probably going to have football at some point in the future.
Given into the South.
They're going to give in at some point. They do have volleyball and baseball and softball and I think cross country and track and a few other sports.
So I got you off track. I'm sorry. So back to running. You ran for the race. The guy, he wasn't going to run.
So
Obviously,
he passed away.
Yeah.
We had a special election. The way the scheduling worked, we had to qualify for the full term the week before the special election. So both my special election opponent and I qualified for the primaries. I also drew a general election opponent. So I joked that I had 3 elections in 8 months and was campaigning for almost a full year.
And how did
a county commission position?
I know? Well, you won the general election by a pretty good margin.
I won all 3 elections. My smallest margin was the first election, the special election. I won that 67 to 23 or 33.
And that's what they call statistically significant for an election. So you were liked and people liked you.
For some reason, I was able to get out to enough folks and show a vision and speak about the issues in a way that people were gravitated towards. And I like to think when I'm up for re-election next year that I've done a good enough job that if I do in fact draw opposition, I'll draw bigger numbers.
You have any idea of like what's changed from the first election to what you're going to look at next election as you go into this?
So we've realized a lot of the growth. There's a lot of growth that's happening right next to my house. That much of it was approved before I got on board. Some of it well before I was on the board. We've got an apartment complex. It's literally coming up right outside of my neighborhood that was approved back in 2014. And they are just now getting around to
11 years
doing it.
So it was approved for a while and kind of
approved for a while, and it just sometimes you get the approvals. The company got the approval, decides that they don't want to do it anymore, or they've gone out of business and they sell it to someone else, and so by the time some of these actually get around to being built, some of them go up quicker. Some of them they'll start construction within a year.
But that was at the county level, so it's not in a city.
Yeah, that is unincorporated Barrow County. Those were county approvals, and so
they don't expire.
They don't expire. You can potentially go back and do county initiated rezones, but you start running into potential issues that the owner of the land might fight that you're taking away their economic value, and that starts to cross into a condemnation. So you've got those considerations to take into account. But I think that that's probably going to be the biggest thing that I'm going to have to deal with is the explanation that these were things that were done before I was on the board. Here's what I have done since I've been on the board. I will say the one thing, I was very careful not to promise anything when I ran for election, because on a 7-member board, I can't unilaterally make changes.
You tell people what you're working on. This is what's important to me. These are the issues that I think will make a difference here.
The 2 things that I did commit to was outreach and being accessible, and looking at everything that I can that's in front of me before I make a decision on anything. And I believe that I have been successful in those endeavors. I host a town hall, try to do one at least every year. I'm the only commissioner in Barrow County that does town halls. As I mentioned before, I'm on all the social media. Right. I try to get to as many. We have, as small as Barrow County is, we have a lot of events. Auburn's constantly hosting stuff. Statham constantly has stuff. Winder. And so I try to get to as many events as possible.
So you have a lot of driving to do too, because I'm assuming they're not close to each other.
But Barrow County being as small as it is, I can get to most parts of the county within about 20 minutes.
Yep.
The farthest reach about 30.
Well, I mean, I live in Dunwoody, and it takes me definitely like 5 to 7 minutes to get to Chamblee or Brookhaven, and it takes me 10 minutes to get to work. So for me, that's a lot. So
when you live in Barrow County and without traffic, it takes 45 minutes to get to Atlanta. Everything's relative.
Yeah.
Everything's relative.
Yeah, but you also were raised here.
So I grew up in Peachtree Corners. In fact, right down the street from y'all's office.
Wow.
I could walk there from here.
Wow.
So,
and your family still lives here?
My family, my mom and my stepdad are still in that same house. My mom moved in August before I was born. So my mom has been in that house for 38 years now.
Peachtree Corners.
Peachtree Corners.
And Mayor Mike
Mason. I grew up with Mike's youngest son, Nick.
Wow.
Yeah. So we went to school together.
It's an incredible connection. And now you're, 30 some odd years later, you're sitting being interviewed in Peachtree Corners as the county commissioner. That's a hell of a ride there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what kind of connections do you have left here? Obviously, your family.
So my family, I started working high school athletics, doing the tech stuff. Actually, starting my freshman year with softball, but picked up football my sophomore year and basketball my junior year, and never stopped working football and basketball games. So
you're still coming back here?
So I still come back every Friday night for football games. This is my 23rd season with Norcross football.
And this is your free job, I'm assuming.
Free job?
No, third one. This will be your third job.
I've got a few others.
I noticed.
One of these days we'll settle down and slow down a little bit, but it's all volunteer. But I enjoy it. I get rewarded with clothes. I haven't bought a new pair of shoes in probably 15 years because I get the same shoes that the coaches get every year. Same shirts, same pullovers, same hoodies. So,
well, for whatever this is worth, I applaud you. I mean, you got your job, you got your job that pays the bills, and you've got basically two volunteer things that I guess you get paid a little bit of money for being a county commissioner, but not a full-time salary, and you're just making a contribution to your old community and now your new community too at the same time. So I applaud you for doing that. That's just, if all of us did that and all of us had that public service in our lives, I think things would be,
Absolutely. I enjoy it. That one of the things I really love about Barrow County though is the community connection. I'm not the only one who's doing service in Barrow County. We actually have a number of nonprofits in Barrow County, and the number of folks that are constantly coming out to support our various organizations and nonprofits. It really is a blessing. I really love being out there in the community that we have out there.
Very cool. You have the A pin on.
Yes.
What is the A pin for?
So this is for Appalachia. Appalachia is in my district, Appalachia High School, and September 4th of last year, we experienced the first school shooting in Georgia at Appalachia High School. Just over a year ago, we had the anniversary service. We had a candlelight vigil about a week and a half ago. I literally live right behind Appalachia High School. I can actually walk between the neighbors' houses across from me and be on the school property.
So, if we wanted to, transition into this is obviously a very serious conversation. Basically, just over a year after this horrific shooting happened, I believe the kid's name was, I don't even need to say the kid's name, but the kid opened fire in the school. And can you kind of take us back to that morning and take us back to your morning of what happened that day for you?
So, I was general counsel for the company at the time. Well, I was part-time with them. So I would go into their office 1.5 days a week. And Wednesday was my early day. We got a group text message from our county manager that there was an active shooter at Appalachia High School. And
this is normal because you get all the emergency alerts, anything that's important
anything
that's happening.
Really urgent. We got one yesterday. There was a fatal motorcycle accident. So he sends us text messages when we have major incidences going on.
But you're looking at your phone saying, what was your first reaction?
My first reaction was, I can't believe this is actually happening in our community. I'm praying that nobody is injured or killed. And my sister had just gotten home. My sister lives with me. And so the very next thing was, I didn't know if the shooter was going to be coming out of the school, running through the neighborhoods. So I immediately called her and said, don't leave the house. And then from there, as we started getting more updates, I'm really close to some of the folks on the school board. One of our school board members, she has a son at the other high school in the district. So I was on the phone with her a lot of the day, giving her updates. At one point, there was a belief that there was actually a shooter at Barrow High School, and she had received a phone call or a text message from her son telling her that there was a shooter there and that he loved her, and so she was reaching out to me. So we were just trying to get all the information. There was just it's a flood of information. As soon as I left my office, it was a day that we have our Rotary Club, and so I went ahead and headed straight to where our Rotary Club meeting was. I didn't want to go anywhere near the school.
You just be in the way. There's a whole response
There's
team.
nothing for me to do there. Our county manager actually went out and was on site there to help provide a coordination of the response between with all the county assets that he could. So there was no reason for me to be anywhere near there. So I went to our Rotary Club. And
I'm assuming this was known at your Rotary Club, what is happening. And...
Yeah. And so we basically, the handful of us that were there, because a lot of them had kids in the schools. So the handful of us that were there, we just kind of talked about what was going on, talked about what information we had. We're just praying for a resolution. We knew that there were victims at that point. We knew that there were some fatalities. We just didn't know how many yet. The mayor, our Rotary Club actually meets in the hospital in Barrow County.
Oh boy.
So we were upstairs in the third floor in their conference room, and our mayor was downstairs in the lower level. One of my best friends in Barrow County, he's one of the city council members in Winder. He grew up in Winder. His mom graduated from Winder Barrow High School. His grandmother graduated from Winder Barrow High School. I think his great-grandparents went to Statham city schools when they still had a city school. So he's a lifelong Barrow County person, and we immediately said, we need to do something tonight. And so we went down and we talked to the mayor and we said, we want to do a candlelight vigil tonight in Winder. And so he put us in touch with their events folks, and we were able to quickly pull that together. And I think that was something that the community needed right off the bat.
So what was going through your mind the whole day? Like what was...
So,
this is a huge...
Yeah.
This is national. This is national news, national attention.
There was the immediate afterthought is for the families that lost someone, praying that those who were injured survived. But we quickly started to learn just some of the heroics of that day.
I think there was a pretty quick response from what I recall.
There was a very fast response. So I made a batch of sugar cookies. I like to bake on the side, so I made a batch of sugar cookies.
That's your fourth job.
That's my
Gotcha.
hobby. I need to do something fun and creative, and so I made sugar cookies, one for the 911 call center, and then one for each of the fire departments. And I went there 3 days after Appalachia shooting. So on Saturday, that was their next shift, and I brought them sugar cookies and ended up sitting down and talking to our battalion chief and the two firefighters that were at Station 7, and they were the first 3 firefighters on scene. And I started to really learn a lot about their response.
And the response that day, so could you take us through the sequence of events that day of what you know and what I know you can only talk about certain things because certain things are still on trial. There's going to be a trial soon.
Yes.
2 trials, actually.
Yes. So I have had 2 SROs assigned to all the high schools, and at least one for the middle schools, and some of those middle school ones will float between the elementary schools if the elementary school is on the same property. So there's some shared resources there. One of the Appalachia SROs was out at the time, but the other one was there. And then one of the sergeants from one of the other schools was at Appalachia delivering a Bible to a student that's part of a Bible study that they do.
Just completely randomly.
Completely random. He just happened to be there delivering a Bible. The shooting happened. They were in the front atrium, and the shooting happened in a back hallway. They confronted the shooter within 53 seconds of the first shot being fired. We recently, we had just installed the school system had just installed the Centegix system, the push button system.
Yeah.
And so they started activating the Centegix. The Centegix system, they literally had just done a test on it that morning. Like 7 or 7:30 in the morning, they actually did a test on it. And so our sheriff and the colonel at first thought Is this real?
Oh, this is a test.
Is this just another test? Or is this? And they quickly realized it was real, and they were out the door on their way to the school. I won't tell you just how fast they were going, but they were
going fast. They would have got a speeding ticket.
Fast. They were going really fast.
So the school resource officers that are there, are they armed as well?
Yeah. So our school resource officers are actually employees of the sheriff's office. They are deputy sheriffs.
There's a county level.
Yeah. So it's county level. We constantly have deputies that will rotate out of the SRO division and go into investigators positions. We'll have ones that want to get out of uniform patrol and do something different, and they'll come into the sheriff's office. And there's a lot of benefit to that. You get to, especially in a school environment, you get exposed to so many different types of things. And so it creates a great environment to be able to move back and forth.
Well, to me, it's also like it's a highly trained officer in the school, which is, when schools have their own police departments, fine, but they specialize in taking care of schools. But when you have a sheriff's officer, a trained sheriff's officer, and that's a unique perspective.
Correct.
And
a number of them, so they have separate SRO training at the beginning of the school year.
Right.
In fact, a number of the school board members and myself actually went out and participated in some of their trainings. I got to run the obstacle course.
Did you pass it, or
I had the best time of the day?
You had the best time of the day. Okay, good for you. Good job.
Not that he was keeping track.
Didn't want to brag, but
yeah.
And but a number of them actually also participate in the SWAT school. They get SWAT qualifications as well. And so we had SROs there on scene. So those two immediately responded and confronted the shooter, and he immediately put down his.
But you said, this is 53 seconds that the havoc was caused.
Yes.
They were alert. What was the name of the system? It was the
Synthegics.
And that basically alerted them?
No, so they heard, they actually heard the gunfire. And ran straight to it. Synthegics, when it does get alerted, if you press it so many times, it will actually activate in our 911 call center. And the one that we have will actually show a map of the school, and you can see where the buttons being pressed within the school building. So there was a whole bunch of red in that hallway.
Yeah, and I think like every single school in Metro Atlanta has some form of that. Which is every teacher
in every classroom, or
every employee has it. Even the SROs will actually have a Synthegics system in their school, and so they can press it. Like 3 presses will just notify the office, but I think it's like 9 presses or something like that will notify. But then
so you're not pressing it by accident.
No. And there's been accidental ones. It's happened. Sometimes they'll say that they were hugging a student or something and it pressed too many times. But when you have multiple going off in the same area, that's an indication that no, this is real. And a number of folks in the sheriff's office will actually have the app on their phone that it pops up an alert on their phone. So the sheriff and the colonel, they were able to see on their phone
that it was going off.
And so they knew exactly what was going on very quickly. So battalion chief was the first fire member team on site, first fire department employee on site, and he immediately set up command. He's actually a SWAT medic, so he trains with the SWAT team and is SWAT qualified. He put on his SWAT gear and was ready to go in himself. The right behind him, because he came out of the same station, was Truck 7. It had 2 guys on it. We have invested in bulletproof vests
for firefighters.
Okay. That are red, and black helmets that are red. So
meaning a bulletproof helmet.
Bulletproof helmets.
Right. Okay.
So they're able to, and we have at least one for everybody on each of the apparatus. So as soon as they got on scene, the battalion chief told them, grab some deputies. You're going in. You're Rescue Task Force 1. So in the past, with these types of incidents, EMS and fire stage outside, and they wait until the entire scene is secured and we know that there's no more threat. We didn't do that in Barrow County. We used what they call the Rescue Task Force model, and this is the first time that we know of that the Rescue Task Force model had been used. So he said, you guys Rescue Task Force 1, grab some deputies, y'all are going in. The captain was the sheriff. And he's known the sheriff for 20 some odd years. And he looked at him, he said, are you our security? He said, let's go. They grabbed a SRO who used to be at that school. So he knew the layout of that school and knew exactly where they needed to go. And they went in. And the way the Rescue Task Force model works is that as law enforcement goes in and is clearing in front of the rescue personnel, the emergency the fire department and the medics, they're able to then start treating folks as they come across them.
So there's a line of police officers.
Literally 2 deputies going in
Right.
with 2 medics. So you've got 2, and as they're clearing in front of them, the medics are right behind them. As soon as they come across a victim, they start treating.
And was anybody saved because of that?
Absolutely. Every victim was out within 30 minutes. As far as, from what I've been told, as far as we know, this is the first mass shooting where there were 0 preventable deaths. Everybody who could be saved was saved. We had a girl who was life flighted. Actually, WSB just did a follow-up story on her recovery. They didn't think she was going to walk again. I talked to the lieutenant who carried her out, said, I didn't think she was even going to make it. And he actually had a daughter in the school that he couldn't get to because he had to get this girl out first. He said, I didn't think she was going to make it. And the doctor said, we didn't think she was going to walk again. And she's walking. She was life flighted within 15 minutes.
15 minutes of being shot.
Of the first call coming in.
That saved her life because of that.
Absolutely.
That action plan of coming in.
Absolutely. It was, the response was not only amazing because we have amazing folks in Barrow County, but there was also a level of divine intervention. I truly believe that. They had done a live exercise at one middle schools back in March. The same sheriff's shift and the same fire department shift, and they don't work the same schedules. The same shifts that ran that drill in March were the ones that were on duty. The Gwinnett County Sheriff's SWAT team was at our sheriff's gun range doing training.
Oh boy.
Less than 5 miles away from the school.
So there was a big response.
So they were able to respond immediately.
Okay.
Our 911 director has great line of communication with our surrounding jurisdictions. So he had Hall County and Walton County dispatching all their EMS. We never had a shortage of ambulances.
Oh, so like every county pitched in and they were all coming.
We had
there.
53 different agencies that helped respond. The Life Flight, one of the managers for the Life Flight company, is one of our former deputy fire chiefs.
Wow.
Yeah.
And where did the life flight come from? Did it come from Atlanta?
Either Gainesville or Athens area.
Okay.
So they came right over and then landed right in the front of the school.
A helicopter landing. Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
Helicopter landing right in front of the school.
Right in front of the school, right next to the flagpole.
Oh, wow. That's a day.
Well, it's critical. I mean, the SROs that were there on site and having that
absolutely
in place versus
I will say
not in place.
I would say there was a few critical things that saved lives: the training, the rescue task force model, the SROs being there on site, but there's also a lot of credit to the teachers and the students in that school. They know they keep the classroom doors closed during the school day, during class.
It's policy in DeKalb County. You keep the classroom door locked all the time.
The doors are always supposed to be closed and locked.
Yeah.
The classroom that the shooter came out of to go to the bathroom to prep himself to start doing this, when he went back, the door was locked, so he couldn't get into his classroom. And
there were no injuries or fatalities in that classroom?
Nobody. With the exception of a few teachers in the hallway and one student in the hallway, all of the injuries and one fatality occurred in the classroom next door that, unfortunately, when a student left, the door did not get fully closed.
And so he had free access to that one classroom. And so since
everything else was locked.
Everything else was locked. In the parts of his instructions to himself have been read in open court, and he was anticipating being able to do significantly more damage than he was able to.
Okay, so note to self, that enforcement of that locked door is important and critical.
Definitely saved lives. Absolutely.
So when you look at the counties, I mean, so the county's overseeing all the school. I mean, the school district is the large employer in the county.
Yes.
It impacts a ton of people, a ton of lives that are there.
Absolutely.
And you have the county's role of not being educators, but like, how do they work with the school board to make sure all this stuff happens?
Particularly who pays for the officers? Like the school system has to make a choice between like, do you want to hire a teacher or do you want to hire security? And if a school system has to make that choice, and it's a crappy choice for a school system.
We got a school system and you got a county that everyone's balancing resources what they can,
or a state
can do.
You got a school system, you got a county around the school system, and then you got the state around every in the entire state.
Absolutely.
And SROs work for the county.
So in Barrow County, our SROs work for the county. Districts are different. They have their own county school. The school system has their own law enforcement agency.
Is that what is DeKalb? Does DeKalb have their own?
DeKalb has their own police force. Atlanta. I mean, most of the Metro Atlanta school systems have their own police force. But I think about it, and the sheriff's model of a real police officer in the school. I think there's a lot of merit to that idea.
So this is an issue that became a very hot topic at the beginning of June and even into July. And so the way it had been operating, we had a 2017 intergovernmental agreement with the school system, and we had the same type of agreement going all the way back to 1998. In fact, the sheriff's mom was the first SRO in Barrow County.
Sheriff's mom. Wow.
The sheriff's mom was the first SRO in Barrow County. And so under the 2017 IGA, there was 12 SROs provided. The school system paid 50% of their benefits and salaries on school days, and the county covered the rest. They had added a few extra SROs since then, and we just continue to be funded under that same model. In June, end of May, a majority of my board directed us to tell the school system that for all of the SROs that they wanted above the 12 that were in the IGA, they were going to have to start paying 100% of the direct and indirect cost.
So back to the conversation, they have to make a choice between teachers and security.
And yep, at our first meeting in July, an agenda item was added to tell the school system that we're providing notice that we're going to be terminating the current IGA for the following school year and directing the county manager to draft a new IGA that that requires the school system to pay 100% of the direct and indirect costs for all of the SROs in Barrow County.
And what was your position on
I
this?
have been very vocal against that. At the end of the day, public safety is what the county is responsible for.
So you think there is a division between the school system educates and the county?
I do.
Protects?
I think that the 22,000 students and the 2,200 plus educators that go to Barrow County schools, just because they walk into that school building, they don't stop becoming our responsibility.
Yeah, they're your citizens.
We are still responsible for protecting them. The SROs, when we share with the school system, the SROs in 2024, they responded to approximately 3,500. They were logged on to 3,500 calls for service. Some of those are self-directed, things like area checks. 2,700 of those, and these are school day reports. 2,700 of those occurred off school property, and they included things like house fires, accidents with injuries. Even one was an armed robbery where they backed up a deputy on an armed robbery call.
But literally from a school to an armed robbery.
From school to an armed robbery. Yeah. There was a house fire in my district down the street from Appalachia one day. One SRO stayed, the other SRO went down, and he was first on scene before the fire department got there. He was able to make sure that the house was cleared. And so we have 8 to 9 deputies on uniform patrol in Barrow County at one time. With 24 SROs, we now have 3 times that strategically placed throughout the county that under the previous model, the school system was helping to fund.
And not that it's funny, but instead of being at like Dunkin' Donuts just hanging out, you're at a school.
Correct.
So you're at a vital resource protecting.
And it removes some of the caseload from the uniform patrol because they do have to respond to things within the school. And they are taking care of some minor low-level offenses. Students bring stuff that they're not supposed to bring.
Well, students vaping, bringing in
Exactly.
The 3,500 response items, 2,700 off the school. They're able to get there quick because of there. But that still means 800 items in a school year, 800 responses in a school year within the county on school grounds.
Absolutely.
It's secret stuff too. It's like pocket knives and
yeah.
So for me,
but you've got an armed sheriff responding to
Correct.
800 incidents.
The stated reasoning for why we need to do this is because there was a referendum back in November of last year to increase the senior tax exemption for the school system. Well, we had an exemption before. So the thought was, if they're being exempt, but the county's helping pay for SROs, then these seniors that are exempt from school taxes are paying for a school function through county taxes. My argument to that is, first, we've always had a senior exemption from we've had a senior exemption since at least 1997.
I mean, that means if you own property, you don't have to pay school taxes on that property. If you're
correct for the school taxes, you still pay county taxes. First of all, we've had an exemption, so it's not anything new. It's not illegal to do it. But second, it's not a school function that we're funding. It is a public safety initiative that the school system is helping to pay for.
I never really thought of that kind of positioning, but I think I mean, it's different because Norcross High School, the Peachtree Corners, and the city of Norcross, they're responsible for protecting the population. And so what's the difference between a school population and the city population?
Well, I mean, it's probably good to have police officers in response to where people are.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
The other thing is there's, I believe that some of the folks who have supported this change are hoping that it will push the school system into just developing their own SRO program, similar to how DeKalb or Gwinnett County does it, and gets the sheriff out of the SRO business.
But does the sheriff care about being in the SRO business, or
it's just sheriff? Our current sheriff has been on record saying that he does not support that.
Does not support being because it's a different skill set.
Correct.
Okay.
He does not support the school system creating their own.
Oh, does not. Okay. Yeah, so it creates his officers in the school.
He wants to keep his deputies in the school because what it does is it's one less agency you have to coordinate response with.
Yeah, and his guys, he's managing his guys, and he doesn't have to manage the response from a school system because honestly, like in cities, when you have an incident, who responds? The local police department. Because there's only 2 or 3 SROs in the area, and so the local authority is going to respond to it.
Exactly.
The Peachtree Corners police are going to respond. Well, actually, there are no Peachtree Corners police, are there?
No. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're talking about it.
They're like, quick, buy some uniforms. Who's
so Gwinnett County police respond first to to incident.
So, actually, one of the I think he's a sergeant for this part of Gwinnett County, actually happens to live in my district in Barrow County. And when you talk to them, they'll tell you that we don't have access to the building. We would, their procedure is that there's a shooting, they would literally have to drive one of their vehicles through the doors to try to force the doors open.
Seems something kind of dysfunctional about that one.
Right. So, but in Barrow County, even some of our uniform patrol deputies have key cards to access the school.
They could get into any single school in the county.
So there's really 2 systems. There's the school district is going to have its own police department, force, training, everything, or the sheriff's department is doing essentially sheriff duty work and manning.
And if the concern is really about the taxpayers, creating a separate law enforcement agency with the school system is to duplicate services. Exactly. And so you're going to, because now you've got to have internal affairs, you've got to have training, you've got to have records, you got to have all these things that are being handled by the sheriff's office already that we're already paying somebody for.
Yeah.
The other thing though, for me is we have actually had a school shooting in Barrow County, and any loss of life is tragic, but we showed how you properly respond.
Well, 53 seconds is it's amazing. And
53 seconds.
I mean, I didn't know it was that short.
All of the other response to get those additional victims out, you're going to change that model that worked.
And to even fair, like your deputies did not fire a single shot to end this.
They did not fire a single shot.
Yeah.
And
that itself is amazing.
And the number of our deputies, I mentioned the one who carried the girl out. He wasn't the only one. We had several deputies who had students in that school building that day. For budgetary reasons, we want to change a model that worked. I think it's a little short-sighted.
So, thank you for sharing this. This is an amazing conversation, but the aftermath of all of this, like what's happening right now. I know there was a dad, there was a son, and the big question too is, from your perspective, just very bluntly, 3 of us are firearms owners. We own firearms, believe in that. But I probably believe in something different. Like I probably want, firearms to be locked up from toddlers, and some people say that's not good, but
that's not good.
I want to keep my toddler to have access to their firearm.
I don't think toddlers need guns.
But could anything have prevented this? This is I don't want to get into politics of this. I just want to know what you think.
I don't know if anything truly would have prevented it that could realistically be done. You're never going to get rid of all the firearms in this country. There's more firearms in the hands of private owners than there are people. So you're never going to get rid of them. In this case, I think you had a parent who was wholly negligent, He knew that his child had issues. Of course, we've got a court case, so he is officially innocent until proven guilty. But the information that's come out in a lot of the preliminary case stuff is that he was trying to get his son counseling, so he knew his son had issues. They had the meeting with the Jackson County deputies the year before.
Because there was a problem.
There was a problem
in the house.
There was not enough evidence to be able to charge him because it was an anonymous Discord account, but there was enough there that prompted at least them to go out and question. And despite that, he still bought his son the firearm. His son would say, "I want an extended magazine." Okay. "I want a scope." Okay. Everything his son wanted, he bought. He allowed the son to keep the rifle in the bedroom, in the closet that he shared with his 8-year-old brother.
So his 8-year-old brother had access to a heavy power.
And had access to a rifle.
Okay.
This was a kid who had just moved into Barrow County. He had only been in the school system for a couple of weeks. He had missed most of that time. So he was fresh to Barrow County. And as our sheriff said, he didn't give our people in Barrow County time to love on him. And so, we saw, unfortunately, what happened. So I don't think that there was any opportunity really in this case to prevent it. A responsible parent would have kept the firearm locked up regardless.
And so, I mean, obviously the kid is going to spend probably the majority of his life in prison, and the father's probably the rest of it. And his father has serious charges against him right now.
Yeah.
And the charges, we could talk about safe storage and locking up guns from toddlers, but this was something different. But there was actually essentially giving somebody something who you knew had some problems.
All of his charges stem from negligent acts.
Right. And that's negligence is a crime.
Correct. So you can face criminal negligence. And so he's got a number of charges related to child abuse. That child abuse stems from negligent acts that cause a child to be harmed. And then he's got two second-degree murder charges that stem from engaging in a negligent act that led to the death of a child. And then he's got involuntary manslaughter for the 2 adults. So second-degree murder in Georgia is very specific to children.
So note to self, keep your firearms away from a child who's having some concerns.
Or maybe any child. Mentality.
Any child.
Yeah.
Any child. Yeah.
Well, and I think that a lot of it depends on circumstances. So, there's been cases where a child that's 12, 13 years old enough to be home alone for a few hours by themselves, has been home alone, and somebody has tried to break in. They knew where the parent's firearm was. They've been trained on it, and they engaged in lawful self-defense. So I think for me, I try to look at a lot more nuance of it's hard to do all or nothing type rules because of those types of instances. But if I can, I would also like to talk about the positive aftermath of Barrow County. You still hear in the news about Uvalde and Storm Douglas down in Florida, and the failed response.
Right.
And that's all you hear.
Right.
It's a failed response. Almost immediately, you heard in Barrow County the community response, the community support, the community coming together. And that is something that we have continued to embrace. We have a nonprofit called the Ministry Village in Barrow County. They're a faith-based counseling service, but you don't have to bring religion into your counseling sessions if you don't want to. They were on scene that day. The executive director is actually a former fire department captain. The president of the board is now our retired fire chief. So there's a lot of fire department involvement there. And so they were there immediately. They've had a federal group reach out to them to set up a resiliency center that's supposed to be grant funded for the first 3 years. I've been fortunate enough to serve as the chairman of that advisory board for the Resiliency Center. And so we're continuing to see our community come together. We have a community foundation that immediately opened a crisis fund that raised over $1 million to provide immediate support to other nonprofits that help. The the crisis fund can't give directly to individuals, but they're able to give to other nonprofits to support their work. So, for instance, the Ministry Village, they obviously had a significant increase in demand for counseling services. So so the crisis fund helped to fund that went immediately to the response. There was some certain other things that the school system just couldn't afford that was needed when the school system opened back up. Weights in a weight room sound a lot like gunfire when they're being dropped. So they needed some padding.
The big rubber things that you could drop the weights on. Yeah.
Dampen those sounds. Yeah. So there was a number of different areas where we have been able to help the community in the response. And that's something that I've been really proud of, is just how we have all come together.
I do remember the stories about, all the community came together. There was no disagreement. It was a matter of how do we heal from this? And I would love a pin one day if you could get me a pin.
I'll see if there's some extras floating around. I'm sure somebody's got some still.
Yeah, but because that's as closest as Metro Atlanta has had to like a horrific event. And, 50, I'm going to always remember now from this conversation, 53 seconds. And so 53 seconds, although a lot happened in those 53 seconds was somewhat of it was a good response.
Individuals delivering a Bible to.
Different Bible. There was, the divine intervention. The word of God was in the school that day.
Literally.
And it's been a lot, but it's also been empowering to see our community come together the way it has. And I told people when I was running for office and after getting elected that I believe we have the best fire department in the state, and I believe we have the best sheriff's office in the state. And I've told people September 4th proved it. September 4th proved it, and we've got some amazing folks.
Yeah, I think we said this earlier, but this is pretty much the year, just after the year anniversary of the event.
And we still have some things coming up. Originally, so when you look at the normal paradigm, going into year 2, which we're now going into, tends to be one of the hardest years.
Right.
And especially when you're around the anniversaries. Anniversaries are always tough. And originally, the trial for the father was supposed to start 4 days after the anniversary.
Oh boy.
On September 8th.
Yeah.
And as much as we want to get this chapter closed and done with, probably was a blessing in disguise that his attorneys had conflicts with jury trials in Atlanta. And so his trial's now been pushed to February.
Thank you for that. I mean, that's a tough one to transition off of there, but Barrow County is still growing rapidly.
It is.
Right. I mean, it's still, anyone doing business in Barrow County, it's a great place to be. And there's a ton of growth that's happening right now, especially on the residential side with everything growing.
And more people want to come out now because we're safe in Barrow County.
Yeah. We have a reputation now.
Absolutely.
So, with all that growth, how is the county involved, like new schools that are getting open? Like a lot of that is city schools because it's, they're school districts, but so
it's all county. We do not have a city school system. That's actually why we have 9 school board members, because there used to be a city school, and that was the agreement.
A lot brought into this county.
It's a lot.
That's a lot of bosses about superintendent.
It's a lot. But so obviously the school system, they've got growing pains. They've got some challenges, and one of the things that they rely on from us is a comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan, we have to do that every 5 years. The cities are supposed to have one as well. Some of the smaller cities partner with us. Bethlehem and Carl partner with us. Carl does not do their own comprehensive plan for all 239 people.
I want to go run for mayor of Carl. Could I just buy a house there and just stay?
I think they have a 1-year residency requirement. So,
but can I buy a vacation house there? Or
usually it's primary residence.
Yeah, you don't want to found that one. That's a sticky point right now.
Yeah.
So you got a comprehensive plan for the county.
So we have a comprehensive plan that the cities have their own as well, and that helps to guide that. In this area, we're expecting this to be traditional neighborhood. That's going to be larger neighborhoods, smaller lot sizes, things like that. This area is set aside for rural reserve. We do not have sewer in this area. This is rural neighborhood. These are going to be 1 acre minimum lot sizes. And so that helps the school system to plan. It also helps on the economic development side. We've got corridors that are set up as employment industrial corridors, where we're looking to, as those large pieces sell, that they're going to be sold to developments that are looking to bring more industrial to Barrow County.
Right. And you get to take the lessons of everything kind of
That's happened around
everything that's happened around us, and that did not work. You get to take those lessons because obviously Metro Atlanta and all the counties around in Metro Atlanta, they've had their challenges with, they plant their land planning was 100 years ago, or
well, somehow land planning wise, somehow y'all got one of the best state parks like right in the middle of the county, which is pretty awesome.
We are very fortunate to have Fort Yargo. Very fortunate. It helps to drive a lot of economic development. So Barrow County we're at an 8% sales tax. Gwinnett is 6%. And, a lot of people question that. But one of the reasons for that, we have what's called a local option sales tax, or LOST. And that requires a rollback of the property tax millage rate to compensate for that.
Oh.
So if we didn't have that 1% sales tax, your taxes would be 3 mils higher. Our unincorporated county taxes, just for the county M&O, we're at 4.5 mils.
Right. And just to be clear, that's police, fire, your city government, your parks, and
so fire has their own separate, because Winder has their own fire department.
Okay.
So it does not include Winder, but it includes all the county general
minus Winder.
Stuff.
So Winder doesn't get that fire bill on their.
So they have their own fire bill. So we have a separate fire tax that's under 3 mils. We have, and then with the school system, we have one of the lowest tax rates. And I get it. People feel it all the time. I feel it every time the property values get reassessed as well. But we actually do have one of the lowest property tax rates in the state of Georgia, and that's compensated for with sales tax. Well, all the people that come to Fort Yargo, all the people that go to UGA football games and stop off at one of our restaurants right there on 316, they're all helping to contribute to that.
Right. The sales tax is a much more effective way of capturing the people who are coming through your county versus live in the county.
Absolutely. About 35 to 40% of our sales tax digest is people that don't even live in Barrow County that are helping to support Barrow County.
Mayor Mike thanked us all for paying for lunch in Peachtree Corners, even though we don't live here. So Mayor Mike said thank you for doing that, and because he's got Peachtree Industrial and Peachtree Parkway, and so
absolutely,
and those are visitors.
Absolutely. So between LOST and TSPOS, Transportation Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax, and ELOS, which is the Education Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax, and SPLOST, those folks are helping to do a lot for Barrow County as we continue to grow.
As you see them drive by, you say thank you.
Every time I see them stop, I say thank you. We have a new Kroger in my district that's about to open up, and it's one of their large Kroger marketplaces. So it's basically Kroger's version of Walmart,
like a super Walmart.
Yeah, exactly. And but it is right there. It is just a couple of miles north of the Walton County line, just a couple miles east of the Gwinnett County line. So all those Walton County folks and Gwinnett County folks, as soon as that opens up at the end of the year, y'all come and buy as much stuff from us as you guys want.
Hey, thank you very much for coming.
I love going
to stand outside in a chair and say thank you for coming.
Just about. Every time I go to Home Depot, which is right next to where the Kroger's coming in, I love seeing all the non-Barrow County license plates there. I'm like, appreciate you. You
could do a fifth job and be a greeter at the Walmart or the Home Depot. I mean, the Kroger or the Home Depot.
Right, exactly. I give my sister a hard time every time she wants to go and get her nails done or her lashes done, and she leaves Barrow County. Like, you're taking our sales tax dollars to other places.
You're costing me money here. Stay here.
Stay here.
Yeah.
Move your person up here.
I'll chat with your sister later about that.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. I'll do that for you.
Oh, you want to do some rapid fire questions quick?
Oh boy, here they go. You ready?
All right, let's do it.
Ready for the rapid fire questions?
Let's do it.
All right. First of all, thank you for sharing all that, because that was a lot for us. That's probably the most meaningful conversation we've had about something very, very not so nice in our county. But thank you for sharing all that.
It still gets to me. I still have to hold back sometimes.
I saw you. You were getting kind of a little caught up in it, but
yeah.
So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
So just to kind of end this, what's something people don't know about you?
I would say that they don't know that I've been working on my pilot's license, but I post every time I'm on an airplane in the cockpit. So, but that's probably it. That I've got about 10 hours in on flight lessons so far.
All right. Well, just so you know, when I was in college, I got my pilot's license, and I only flew. Yes, when I was in college, and I only flew for like 2 or 3 years after college, and I said, I don't want to do this anymore. It was expensive.
It does get really expensive. I'm hoping to talk some pilots into helping one of the nonprofits that I work with in Barrow County.
So you're learning how to fly one of those little Cessna 152s?
So we have a flight school at the Barrow County Airport called Dragonfly Aviation, and they actually fly the Diamond DA-20s and
a 4-seater?
42s. So the DA-20 is actually a little 2-seater. It has a stall speed of 55 knots, and for anybody who doesn't know aviation, that's basically walking.
Yeah, because I used to do 152s, and 152s reminded me of driving a Volkswagen Bug with wings.
He's riding your bike past you.
Yeah, I mean, the stall speed when you're coming in to land on one of those DA-20s, you are almost walking.
Do you put your foot out the window and
just about? So they are very, very forgiving planes, and so they're a lot of fun to fly.
All right. Well, last one. So you got one day in Barrow County. Your friend comes into Barrow County. What do you do for that day in Barrow County with your friend?
All right. So we're taking them to. We have a great breakfast brunch spot called Le Gabrielle Crepes and Waffles. So we're gonna hit up Le Gabrielle.
Gabrielle's, okay.
If they come in on a Saturday, we're probably going to go to either Auburn or Statham for some event. Auburn has a lot of car shows. So we'll go hit up the car show in Auburn. There's a great barbecue place that all the politicians love to come and campaign at in Barrow County called Smoking Po' Boys. Go grab some.
So you're a frequent visitor there. Okay.
Smoking Po' Boys.
Your shirt, pin on, or
all the time.
Okay.
All the time. It's right next to our historic courthouse where our commission office is. And we'll go hit up Fort Yargo after lunch, and then for dinner, we just had 2 different Japanese places open up, and there's one right near my house that they've been open 2 weeks, and I've already been there 3 or 4 times. So it's
helping pay for that tax revenue.
That 8% tax
revenue. Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Enjoyed it.
I also enjoyed it. Thank you very much.